And she had absolutely no idea that I liked her, and she just said no. She said, we're only friends, and that's all we can be. And then the call was over. And then she texted me and she said to me, we need to speak, we should speak less. And you know, that was at that moment, that was one of the worst moments of my life. And I just went in a temper tantrum for a few days. But then after a few days, she rang me and we began to speak again, and we began speaking every day again. And now at this moment, I think she had a thing for me. So I asked her out again. I said, would you be my girlfriend? And then again she said no, and she said that we can't be together. But this time she explained herself, and she simply said that the reason we can't be together is because she's a Christian and I'm not. And she said that it just wouldn't work. And I just said to her, that's the most stupidest reason I've ever heard. And I just went mad. And I remember that night I had a temper tantrum, and I was swearing at God. I was shouting. Even though I didn't believe in him, I was still there swearing, shouting, whatever. And I told a few of my friends about this, and they started saying to me, well, you should only go out with a Christian, then why don't you just pretend to be a Christian? And I thought to myself, you know what, that's a good idea. At this point, it was June 2010, and Jess was doing a placement year in London, and I'd go and visit her every so often. And during these visits, Jess would just sit there and she'd go through the Bible with me, and she'd talk to me about the Bible. And all I could think of was, if I pretend, then I'll get this girl straight away. Whilst in London, Jess was attending a church called King's Church in Catford, and she invited me to come along and check it out, and she said that I'd be very surprised at the difference between my own church, which is here, and Catford. Now, Jess had been to this church back in 2010, and back in 2010, she attended this church, and we used to only have about 30 people on Sunday morning, and we used to sing the hymns out of the old Christian hymn books, and now to me that was church. Okay, that's all I was used to. A few old people, Sunday morning, singing old songs which Moses probably wrote when he was leading the Israelites out of Egypt. So yeah, Jess invited me to this church in Catford, and she said I'd be very surprised. And I thought, how surprised can I be? So I thought I'll win some points here. So I went. So on one Sunday, June 2010, we went there, walked into this church, and all I saw was about 1,000 people. And the diversity in this church was amazing. Like, you had different cultures, different ages. You had a lot of young people, and I was just shocked. And I was shocked because to me, that's not a church, you know. And then we sat down, and I was feeling really, really uncomfortable because I wasn't used to it. And then I began to look around for an organ, and I didn't see an organ, and I became quite happy then. I thought, at least we're not singing today. But then I looked on the stage, and I saw guitars, electric guitars, drums, keyboards, microphones, tambourines, everything. And I just thought to myself, what are they going to do with them? I was thinking, you're not allowed to play them in the church. And then whilst we were sitting there, a lot of people saw I was new, and they came up to me, started talking to me very nicely, and I thought, why are they being so nice to me for? What do they want from me? And I began to feel really, really uncomfortable, and I could feel a sweat coming on. And the church pastor welcomed everybody, and then he said, let's all stand, and everyone started singing and praising and worshipping, and it was very, very loud. And then people started putting their hands up in worship, and I've never seen that before. And then I looked at Jess, and she had her hands up, and I just got scared, man. I was thinking, where am I? What have I got myself into here? And after 10 minutes, I'm not joking when I say this, after 10 minutes, my t-shirt was absolutely drenched with sweat. And I was so nervous, I was so uncomfortable, I just had no idea what was happening. And I kept looking at the door, and I just wanted to run out of this door. And Jess looked at me, and she saw that I wasn't comfortable. So she started saying to me, just calm down, relax. But by this time, my boxers looked wet as well. So after about 20 minutes, I sat down. And I started looking around at the congregation, and whilst they were worshipping, and I just thought to myself, why are these people so happy? Why are these people so joyful? And I began to think that these people, they must have no problems in life because they're so happy and they're so joyful. And then at the end of the first part of worship, they had like an open prayer time. And I thought to myself, these people are going to have nothing to pray for because they're so happy. But then some people started praying. And I was listening, and I was watching these people, and I'm telling you, such pain came out of these people. These same people that were so happy, so joyful, now they were crying out before God. And this left me completely confused, thinking, hang on, what's going on here? And then after this prayer, the pastor began his sermon, and I began to look around at the congregation again, and I saw that this peace was back within these people. And I began to think to myself, hang on, these people have so many problems, and yet they're so happy and joyful. And I began to get jealous of these people. And I was thinking, why can't I have that? And I was thinking, I had no idea what was going on. And when the service finished, I just ran out of that church. And I ran it so quick, and I said to Jess, look, I'm never going back there again. I'm never ever going to go back there again. That's not how a church is meant to be. But all I kept thinking about was them people. And then a few months passed, and Jess was still witnessing to me, but I still hated God, I still hated Christians, but I liked this girl, so I kept my mouth shut. Then at the start of August 2010, Jess asked me if I want to go camping with her and a few of her friends for 5 nights to a Christian festival called Soul Survivor. And I just thought, 5 nights, 5 days with this girl. I was like, how can I say no to that? So I said, yeah, book it straight away. And you know, I thought camping, yeah, how hard can camping be? And I never had been camping before. And you know, Jess told me nothing about Soul Survivor. She told me nothing what happens there, because she knew that if she did, then I wouldn't have gone. There's no way I would have agreed to go. And she was right. And like a clown, I didn't even check on the internet or anything about Soul Survivor. So we set off one Saturday, I think it was, about 7 PM, and we reached Soul Survivor at 11. And it was pitch black, couldn't see anything. And we met up with Jess's friends, and they gave us some tent to set up, and I just thought, right, started flexing, started stretching, and I thought, let's set this tent up. I tell you, she had already set the tent up within 2 minutes. I was just there, I was stretching like that, you know. And everyone was quite tired, so we decided to go to sleep. And then I woke up in the morning around 7 AM because I needed to go empty myself out. And I came out of this tent, and my jaw just dropped. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There were just thousands of tents all around me. And I was thinking, where am I? This ain't Christian. So we had breakfast, and then at 10 AM, Jess and her friends said, let's make a move. And so I didn't know what was going on. I just said, come on then. And how Soul Survivor is, they book out a massive showground, and it's very enclosed. It's like you're in a bubble. You're not allowed in unless you've got a wristband or a pass. And so yeah, we started walking, and after about a 10-minute walk, we came to this huge, and I mean, it was an absolutely massive tent, and it's known as Big Top. And I walked into this tent, and I was speechless. I was amazed. And there's around 12,000 people, and all of these people, or most of these people, were young men and women, and they all looked quite normal. And then a guy called Mike Pilavachi came on the stage, and he welcomed everyone, and he was very, very funny, very good guy. He prayed, and then on this massive stage, you know, there was instruments, loads of singers, musicians, everything, and he had like big screens as well, where you could see the words of the songs, you could see what was going on the stage. And we were sat in the middle of this huge crowd, and I would never have thought it, but I was actually enjoying myself. And I was reading the words on the screen. I wasn't singing, I was reading them. And Jess looked at me, and she could see I was enjoying myself, so she was quite happy about that. And then after about 40 minutes of worship, we all sat down, and Mike preached a brilliant message. To that time, it was the best message I had ever heard. And I was really enjoying it, and I said to Jess, when's the next service? And she said, at Soul Survivor, they have 2 services a day. And I thought, that's alright, I could have that. And then Mike stood there, and he said, well, I think we should wait on the Lord now. I think we should wait and see what the Lord wants to do. And the music went really, really quiet, and I thought to myself, this is quite nice, quite relaxing. And then Mike started asking for the Holy Spirit, and he started saying, asking the Holy Spirit, kept repeating and repeating it, and I just thought to myself, what is this going on about? And then out of nowhere, I just heard a massive scream, and I jumped out my skin. And then I heard somebody start laughing, and then I heard somebody start crying, and then I saw someone shaking. And then I heard a few more people start screaming, laughing and crying. And I'm telling you, I was scared. It was the first time in my life I've actually been scared. And I had no idea what was happening. And before I knew, there was many people all around me laughing, crying, shaking, whatever. And then Mike was at the front. I know Mike was saying, don't worry, don't worry. Everything's okay. This is just the Lord at work. The screams, the laughing, the crying, and it's just pain being released. Don't worry. And I just thought to myself, what are you on about? Can't you see what I'm seeing? And, you know, I was shaking myself, I was scared, and I wanted to get out, but I couldn't because we was in the middle of this massive crowd, and I realised I couldn't push past them, and I just looked at Jess, and I became angry with her, really angry with her, and I said to her, what is this stupid mental home you want me to? And me and Jess walked out the service just as the second part of the worship began, and I was in a proper mood with Jess, and I just said to her, look, I'm going home, and if you want to come with me, you got to come now. I'm not staying here for any longer. And she just tried calming me down, saying, look, stay, try again. And I said no. And I rang my dad, and I told my dad what happened. And my dad just started laughing at me at the start, and he said, it sounds like this Soul Survivor is a Pentecostal festival. And I told my dad, look, I'm coming home, I'm not staying here anymore. And my dad said to me, look, just calm down, try it. But I said no, and I was ready to go. You know, I had my bag there, I was ready to go. But then something calmed me down. And basically something kept me there, even though I wanted to leave, I couldn't, I didn't know why. Now the next few days were amongst the worst days of my life. Like, I wasn't eating properly because we never had the facilities to cook. The toilets were horrible. I'm used to not having showers, but the showers are horrible, so I never had any showers. It was raining non-stop. It was really, really bad. And but the more I went around this campsite, the more I met Christian people. I didn't realize it at the time, but this hatred I had for Christians within me was slowly going. And that's also why they have like a very good nightlife after the last service. The nightlife is really good. Like they have talent shows, there are sports tournaments, shows, dancing, everything. And me and Jess went to a talent show. And I'm telling you, some of these Christians who came to this talent show were some of the most talented people I've ever met. And you know, I used to think before that Christians were just these talentless people. All they were good for was coming to a church and reading a book, and that's it. And I saw this one football freestyler, and he used to use these skills while I was witnessing. And he was the most gifted footballer I'd ever seen. And you know, there was a lot of other people, and at the time, that was a massive eye-opener to me. And now my time at Soul Soil was coming to an end. And it was day 4, we had one more day left. And I was a bit sad to be leaving, but at the same time I was very happy. And we came to the evening service, and after what I experienced in the first service, me and Jess used to sit right at the back, so just in case I needed to get out, I could walk out. And throughout the 4 days, all I used to do was sit there on the floor, just read the words off the screen, take in the sermons, all the screaming and the shouting and everything. I just got used to it. And now when I think about it, even though I didn't realize it at the time, I had changed a lot by this moment. I had become very humble. And on this last night, it was Tuesday the 17th of August, Tim Hughes was leading worship. And this was about the 3rd time I heard Tim Hughes